Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host, Connie, and we are here with episode 10 of Chainsaw Man. Last time, Makima went full Nanaka on some bad guys. Kobeni took off a dude's arm and showed how badass she can be. And shit went down just in general. This is very different from how it started, and this series started out pretty insane, but it's kind of taken a new step forward. And there's a lot of people who are saying like, "Oh, this is where the series really gets started. It's where it really begins," and apparently that seems to be true. But before we get into anything else here, I want to make a very clear statement. There has been multiple reactors, most notably Nani no Anime, for me, no, most notably, just because they're the big ones I watch that have experienced this. But there have been multiple reactors who have been experiencing a lot of toxicity from the Chainsaw Man fandom. And most of it has been centered around, from what I've gathered, Kobeni. Specifically, when certain reactors have stated, based off of just the episodes they had seen at the time and information they have been given, that they didn't like Kobeni. Apparently, manga fans and whatnot have been attacking them, these reactors, saying things like, not only just saying things like, "Oh, she'll get better" or whatnot, but they've been like dogpiling on these reactors for even daring to say that they just don't like her, again based only off of the episodes they've seen and information they have. They've been attacked and bombarded with horrible comments that have been not just rude, but extremely terrible. Fans have been like trying to spoil things about it because of that, and like one of the big examples with Nani no Anime, and Rough Senpai specifically has been touching on this on social media and whatnot, and I think they mentioned it in their video for last episode. They were spoiled on this, on Kobeni being a badass there, specifically by these fans who were upset that they had an opinion, basically, that they dared have an opinion. And here's the thing, I engaged with Rough Senpai on Twitter regarding this. When he made a post saying about not liking Kobeni and everything, I just simply had a, not really even a debate, just I shared my thoughts. We talked back and forth in tweets a little bit, and it was very respectful. No one was getting on the other one. I was just sharing my opinion, and he was sharing his, and it's like it was respectful. It was nice. But some people don't know how to do that, apparently. Some people need to be assholes. And unfortunately, it's a lot of people who are doing this. And they're very loud and very active with their assholery. And it's hurting not only the interest of reactors like Ruff and them in Nani no Anime, but it's hurting a lot of reactors and people's interest in the series. Just, again, for simply stating an opinion. And personally, I am on the train where I do like Kobeni. And even prior to last episode, I felt bad for her. I sympathized with her. Even to a degree, empathized with her. But I understand that's me. If someone doesn't see it the same way, that's fine. as I always say, people are allowed to have dissenting opinions from my own. You guys don't have to believe the same as me. I don't even necessarily want you to. I want you guys to form your own thoughts on shows, stories, characters, games, etc. Don't just copy me. But there are some people out there who think like they have the definitive opinions on these shows and whatnot. And it's not just Chainsaw Man. Other fandoms have had this issue as well. There are a lot of fandoms where people will just, if you say anything that in their eyes is out of line, they will dogpile you. And it's not okay by any means. So while this hasn't been affecting this channel for a number of reasons, I wanted to make this statement because, like, I stand by Nani no Anime and their opinions on Kobeni. I don't personally agree with them, but I stand by them having those opinions and being able to share them. They have that right. They have that, just, they're allowed. I'm terrible with saying things, but they're allowed to have their own opinions, to have their own viewpoints, even if they're not always in agreement with any of the rest of us. And we have no right to just dogpile on and attack them like that. That's not okay. And all you're doing by doing that is driving them away from the series. You're not going to make them more interested. You're going to make them less interested. You're going to make them resent it. And in the case of reactors, you're going to make them not want to react to it at all. So it's like, if you think this is helping, you're sorely mistaken. People need to just stop. You can respectfully say you disagree. People can respectfully disagree on things. But what has been happening to them is not respectful. Quite the opposite. And I'm getting honestly sick of it. I'm pissed about it. That people would do this to others. And again, I know it's not just this fandom, because I've seen other fandoms do this in the past. I've seen plenty of other fandoms do this kind of stuff. Most fandoms, I would say, have a toxic side. Obviously, to different degrees, to different sizes, but most fandoms have a toxic side. The problem is not every fandom is as toxic as others. This fandom seems to be pretty damn toxic. And there's a lot of fans who are just normal and fine and all of that. In fact, probably most of them. But the fact that the toxic side is so loud and active that bigger reactors like this are getting attacked for simply having opinions is ludicrous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like, we're going to have different views. We're going to have different opinions. Just let it happen. If you don't agree and you can't say anything that's just respectful and everything, just keep your fucking mouth shut. Because I can tell you right now, if any of that shit came to my channel, I would not put up with that shit. If anyone started commenting on my videos, that kind of shit, no, your tweet would be deleted and you'd probably be banned from the channel. I am not putting up with that. And the problem with bigger channels is that there's too much to really handle that with. Bigger channels will get a lot more issues with that than a smaller channel like mine. So, just stop. Okay, people? It's not that hard. Either be respectful or just go away. Seriously. Because you're just going to drive people away from this series and away from reacting to it. Either way, we're just going to get into this. We're going to move on. We're going to get into this because while I'm hating what this fandom is doing right now, I still do love this series. For me, it's been proven to be really fucking good. And I am enjoying the shit out of it and really want to see how this ends. Because we only have 3 episodes left, including this one. This is 10. We have like 12 episodes this season. So it's like, we want to see how this closes out. What it leaves off on. I haven't heard any word about even when a next season is coming. Presumably sometime next year, just don't know when. Either way, we're just going to get on with this. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then it fades back in. Everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this was a very, all things considered, calm episode. Unlike the past couple, it wasn't very intense. It wasn't a lot to handle. It was calm. It was a breath of fresh air after how insane things have gotten. And that was necessary because after just the depths that it went to, I feel like we needed to have just a breather. And mind you, the effects of the last couple episodes are still there. The overall emotions and feelings and worries about it are still very much there. This episode doesn't try to push that aside or try to ignore it or anything. It rather just takes us back from it and lets us just feel those emotions without having to worry about adding more on. So we see Aki is just kind of in a state of depression and pain after everything that happened after Himeno's death and all. He's not doing okay. It's very clear, and his insistence on remaining in public safety in order to get revenge is definitely not healthy. and it's very clear that the others there who are there to coach him or whatever they said, it's very clear that they understood that it wasn't healthy and that he shouldn't be doing this. But it's his decision. They can't really tell him otherwise. They can, again, just coach him in a direction and hope that he takes it. But meanwhile, we have Power and Denji. Denji realizes that despite everything that's happened, he hasn't cried. And starts wondering if he would cry if Aki died, or if Power died, or if Makima died. And kind of coming to a conclusion that he probably wouldn't. He might feel sad for a bit of time, but he would bounce back. And the thing is, that part is kind of realistic. Like, that's kind of what happens. Like, When a loved one dies, we definitely feel sad about it, and that can last for a good amount of time. But we have to bounce back, and so we do. We come out of that slump, and we never stop feeling sad about losing a loved one. The sadness never truly goes away, but we're able to live with it. We're able to continue on rather than just sit there in our sorrow and let it control us. I've had loved ones who have died. I've had an uncle, a grandfather, a great aunt, all of whom have died, all of whom I was pretty close with. And yeah, it hurt a lot. So when I found this out, yeah, I cried, and I was very emotional for a good amount of time, but I moved on, and I'm still sad about it. I still miss them, but I've been able to move on. I continue on with my life. But Denji's saying this in more of a manner that he feels like there wouldn't be a true mourning, that he wouldn't truly be as sad as he feels he should. He notices Aki is crying for Himeno, and he hasn't cried for anyone. Himeno called herself his friend, the first person to ever do so. And yet he couldn't cry for her. And again, he doubts he would cry for Aki or Power. So he's worried. And it unfortunately could be because of how he grew up. His horrible life has not made him necessarily so cold that he can't cry, but it's made him hardened to pain, to sorrow, to the point where he might feel sad about things still, but it doesn't move him in the way that it would someone else. And that in and of itself is sad. And Power, obviously, we know, just doesn't feel those kind of connections with people. She's still a devil, even if she's in the form of a fiend currently. So she wouldn't be like that either. But they don't really get time to dwell on this because Makima takes them to meet their teacher. This guy is going to be training them, and he's supposedly the best devil hunter there is. I compared him to Gojo because in Jujutsu Kaisen, Gojo is the best curse user. So, the best of the best in their respective fields. Except, unlike Gojo, this dude is very, not emotionless, but very hardened and cold. He's a little crazy and goofy, but he's not, like, energetic at all. But it's funny. Like, he starts talking about it and everything, and Power's, like, really quickly, like, scared of him. Like, actually scared of him. Like, he freaks her out in a way that I don't think anyone has, except maybe Makima. So that's really interesting. That her fight or flight reflex was going right to flight. But she stayed nonetheless. We see how easy it is for him to take them out. Even before, like, any actual fight, like, he just grabs them and snaps their necks with the greatest of ease. But then during the fighting, it's like he's able to dispose of them so quickly that it's insane. We can see his ability right off the bat. And so Power and Denji decide they have to try and think through things. They have to try and be smart about it. So the next day, when he's going to come and get them at their apartment, they decide to try and ambush him, which he acknowledges is actually very smart. He acknowledges that it was a good idea, that the plan was strong, but it had a couple of flaws that caused them to fail. Um, that it was actually a good idea, and he actually was impressed by it. You have to give that. They, for as dumb as these two are, they actually came up with a good plan, which is surprising as hell, but hey, good on them. you know? So also Power in the glasses and all that's in the opening. It's like a brief frame in the opening, like while they're hitting the ball around the town and everything, the giant gold ball. That's a reference to Fight Club. You see like there's this like brief glimpse of Power in glasses and all, and I just thought it was like a cute thing, like referencing that she's thinking about things or like coming up with a plan, but it's actually in the series, and it's like, oh, okay. It's actually really cute. and Power's a cute character. She's very like attractively drawn. She is. Her in the glasses and button down top and everything with the tie and all. It's just like that's just a cute outfit. It really is. It works for her. Maybe it's also because I've always been kind of attracted to the entire nerdy girl kind of aesthetic. Maybe that's part of it, but I just think it works for her character model. But yeah, their plan was good. It's just there were a couple flaws. Like he said, Power used too much blood at once, which caused anemia. Obviously a big flaw for her, considering she needs not only the blood to stay conscious and everything, but it's just not smart to overplay your hand. Even if she could stay conscious, even if it wouldn't cause her to pass out and everything, it's too much at once. It's too easy to see coming. And Denji, meanwhile, like tried to do a surprise attack, but he didn't anticipate that he would be attacked back. And that was his major flaw there. But again, like this dude did actively compliment them. He actively was impressed that they thought this through and actually adjusted in that quick of an amount of time. You got to give them credit for that. It was definitely more than I gave them credit for initially. Like I was saying as they were talking about thinking things through, it's like you're dumb though. You two are canonically dumb. And it's like, but they actually came up with a good plan, and that genuinely surprised me too. But we see at the end, Aki, since he's determined to stay in public safety, is being taken to get a new weapon, to make a new contract. This time with the Future Devil, very much implied to be extremely strong, and is mentioned that has taken like not only years off lifespan but like other stuff as well. So the Future Devil is implied to be even stronger than the Cursed Devil that Aki currently has had a contract with, but really should not be using anymore. And I get it, because like I was saying, people are scared of the future. The future is filled with unknowns. And yeah, generally people have a pretty standard fear of what is going to come. It just, in general, it's very common. Not necessarily like a debilitating fear, like a crippling fear of heights or something would be. It's not the same kind of fear. It very much manifests itself differently within a person. And so I'm wondering what the future devil can do. If it's this strong and requires this much of a sacrifice, what is its power? That's what I'm wondering. But yeah, so this episode was mostly just a relaxing calm down after the insanity we've faced. We also had a little scene with Aki getting a visit from Himeno's sister and reading a letter that she had sent and learning that Himeno was really determined to get Aki out of public safety. And that she wanted to get out too, and it's very clear she was scared. But mostly not just for herself, but for Aki. She wanted to save Aki. She wanted to get him out of there. That was her goal. That was her wish. That is the one thing she wanted to do. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Like, I would not be surprised if Aki drives himself to his death with this. Not because he has 2 years left according to the cursed demon, or devil, but I think he's going to die even earlier than that. Just based on his actions. He's too vengeful. He's too vengeful, and it's going to kill him. I'm honestly convinced of that. And I would not be surprised if it happened in a fight with the Gun Devil, when that eventually does come. That could very much be how it ends. Because I think that would be a fitting end for him, too, from a writing perspective. But also, it's just, I think that would be where this feels like it's heading. Based on just how his vengeance has taken over his mind and how losing Himeno has just only driven him further into it. It just feels like that's the path it's going to, where he's going to finally confront the Gun Devil and he's going to die because of it. Because he's not able to handle that. It sucks, but that's the only path I can see this going down right now. I like Aki, I do, but this is not the right move for him. He really should, like, logically speaking, and just like rightly speaking, he should be leaving public safety, but he's not going to. And Kobeni probably will be. She'll probably stick to that after everything that happened. But yeah. Either way, we have 2 episodes left. And I don't think we're going to get anything too, like, insane in the last 2 episodes. We might get, like, a cliffhanger that might be a little insane, but I think it's going to actually focus on this training and on kind of the next stage. We might get, like, one more notable devil fight. But I don't think it's going to be as insane as what we've just had. I think that I think that's going to be saved for next season, whenever that does end up coming. 'Cause you know it's going to. But either way, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Chainsaw Man? And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.